Take 80. Action. Hey, Dr. Milton. So here's my personal insight reflection. Oh, and to preface this, I apologize for being my work attire and that this is late. I didn't realize it was at noon. I saw 12 and I assumed, midnight, but that's my bad. If you want to dock me, I would completely understand. Anyway, here's my personal reflection to what I got out of this class. Um, so my speaking skills haven't really changed all that much. I think my personality is the same. My persona up there, I'm a little awkward, but I mean, some of the most famous public speakers are, awkward and dry. I think that's actually what attracts me the most in public speaking, because it's content based and not, enthusiastic or bubbly. I think that's just a little superficial because you can see when it's forced to read between the lines. Um, but the main thing that I wanted to get out of this class, reading back my actual beginning, was that I wanted to improve. And I think I've done that. I mean, even just speaking out loud for 2 to 3 minutes. I mean, yesterday with my Epic Talk time, I really liked that, even though maybe the class didn't. It was a little controversial, but I thrive on that kind of stuff, so I had fun with it. Um, I've always asked hard questions, pointed out flaws when I believe that it can serve a purpose or as distortment of the truth. I'm sure you recall a couple examples from class where I said something and it kind of got quiet. A few people chuckled. It was something that I should not have said, quote unquote. Um, but, I mean, I think people grow from that kind of thing. That's why I say it. Um, I'm not afraid of telling somebody that I believe they are wrong. Notice the way I phrase that. Because I don't assume that I'm right. I mean, I could very well be wrong. Um, so I think that's important. I've never really voiced my opinions, out loud until recently. I think when I was forced in this class to come up with something and just talk for 2 or 3 minutes or whatever. I think I've never really had to do a serious version of that. Um, and I don't think we really have to. I think in high school you can just kind of BS your way through all of it and still get an A because it's just the way high school is. I mean, we're at UF. We are experts at BSing our way into A's. Um, However, I was a little disappointed with some of the speeches from my peers. I think that if I went up there and talked about sunscreen or how I should wear hats or how I should read textbooks or shouldn't read textbooks, I think was his stance, which is a little ridiculous to me. Or how I should seize the day. I mean, that's just great. I mean, I know what a Latin phrase is, but I think they should have been docked for content. The topic really wasn't that complex to where they had to have any thought behind it. It's just memorize this and go and be enthusiastic. That isn't real public speaking to me. That's just, that's just not public speaking, especially science related. I think, it's good practice, but I think the actual whole deal will be a lot more eye opening for them. Hard to phrase it out loud. I was struggling, back to the anxiety question. I was struggling to find out why my heart raced before, during, and after. I could physically feel it beating, I'm sure we've all felt it. And I was struggling to find out which fear that I had. And I came to the conclusion that it was a fear of not so much strangers, but indifference. I think you touched on it, that we, as a human, race, fear indifference. The funny facial and hand gesture for that one. We fear indifference because we would rather actually see anger, or maybe a what is it? Disagreement. I mean, I thrive on disagreement. That's fantastic to me. That's how I formulate my opinions. But thanks to a speech actually a student gave, Tyler, I can learn to just take a deep breath, not think about anything, let my mind just stop for a second, and that psychological response will calm my physical response, which, is great. I've gone up and thanked Tyler for that. uh, cortisol and epinephrine won't be inhibiting my recall anytime soon. And to throw in the little science joke. Um, so for number 4, what kind of speaker do I consider myself now? I still consider myself a novice public speaker. Um, I was a lot worse when I started out, but it's, how do I phrase this? My eyes have been opened, I think, to the potential that I see in public speaking. And when I say public speaking, I mean the exchange of information and promotion of a level of adequate understanding. I've always prided myself on the content of my speeches. It's just the actual relaying of information, I think I haven't been the best at. I put here severely lacking. He's a little harsh on myself. So that's what I was trying to improve upon, the actual exchange of information, not the information itself. Because I pride myself on that. I'm excited to improve because I see the potential that public speaking has. I just always assumed that I could go up there, and if I was enthusiastic about something, I would relay that. But it's a whole other deal. Because there were times even after a speech where I had written this great thing, I had great points, and I just went up there, completely forgot half of what I was going to say. And afterwards, I'd been like, oh man, I really wish I had driven home this point or thought of this example. It would have tied in great. So that's the potential I see in public speaking. How do you actually remember all that? So yeah, I'm excited to improve upon public speaking. I may take another course after this even, especially when I didn't actually consider, like I came into this class and, kind of sat in the back with a scowl on my face and that kind of thing. I didn't see the value in it, and now I do. So for the last question, I remember actually my first impression was not a good one in this class. I remember thinking that this class was all breadth and no depth. A little inversion of a cliche. But so therefore, I came to the conclusion that I would sit quietly and just BS my way into an A, like I've done with a bunch of classes ever since I've been born. But as the semester went on, I actually became more engaged in class, voiced my own opinions, albeit they were a little biting and sarcastic at times. But I voiced them more often, and my mindset changed. It was pretty cool. I began to see the value in effective communication with others. I realized that I was not the best communicator, even though I already knew that. But I really saw how much I lacked and how it kind of affected people's perceptions of me. Like when I completely tanked, one of the speeches, and I could just see the awkwardness and the indifference on their faces afterwards. It was a little eye-opening. But yeah, like I said, now I see the value in effective communication, and I think, and even I've adopted some of my personal reflections from this class into my worldview, which is a huge thing. I mean, our worldview is what drives us, what motivates us, so that's huge for me. So to conclude, I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Milton. I'm sure you noticed the kid sitting in the back with his arms crossed and the scowl on his face. But you didn't write me off. You actually listened and gave good, insightful feedback. And I just wanted to thank you for teaching me an important lesson that I will carry for the rest of my life. Thanks, and see you around.